So, is it possible to become a millionaire today with one stream of income? I actually believe. Here's the thing. Have you wondered why a lot of what you see on the internet, especially on YouTube with the different ads that come up? I don't know. It might be just be me, maybe because of what I watch, but I see a lot of commercials and ads about starting and having multiple streams of income. And I'm like, you know, that's great and all. And I'm not knocking that. You should have multiple streams of income. I'm for it. But I asked myself the question, well, what are we doing with the income that we have? Are we being efficient with managing the money that we already have? And if we're not being efficient in managing the money we already have, what makes you think that if we're going to have start multiple streams of income and have multiple streams of income coming in, that we are going to do well with that stream of income as well? And the reality of the situation is that you're actually not going to do well with that stream of income. If you're not doing well with the first stream of income that you're earning, you're probably not going to do well with the others, because the same behaviors that you have with the first stream of income that you have, guess what? It's gonna move on to the other incomes as well, and you're gonna have the exact same behaviors with the other incomes that you're making, and you're gonna find yourself in the same position again, just doing it at a bigger scale. So, if having multiple streams of income is something that not all of us can do because we just don't have the time to do it, can we still become a millionaire with just one stream of income? Because not all of us have the time, the bandwidth. We got kids, we got things to do. That it's just hard for us to have multiple streams of income. But that one stream of income, we're doing pretty well in. Okay. Let me share some stats with you. And the reason why I want to start off with this is because throughout the video, I'm gonna share some numbers with you, but I'm also gonna share some stories with you, and those stories are gonna relate to the numbers, so they're gonna have a connection here. It's all gonna connect, and then I'm gonna share with you some habits and characteristics that are conducive in order to be able to save to that $1 million mark. Now, I'm not saying you can only save $1 million. If you want to do more, be a go getter and do more. I hope you do more. But I just want to share with you the process in which a lot of people take that became a millionaire and how simple it looks. And the truth is, it's kind of hard to do. And the reason why it's hard to do, I'll share with you later on. Okay, so becoming a millionaire with one stream of income. Let's look at the stats real quick. Let's look at the stats. All right, so the numbers I'm going to share with you from the start is going to be numbers on the um, the average 401k balance. And the reason why I want to share the average balance of someone that has a 401k account is because a 401k is one of the wealth building tools that you have. And a lot of employers provide 401ks. And so if you have this one stream of income and you're contributing to your 401k plan, that is usually what you're utilizing in order to actually get this, build multiple streams of income. A 401k plan is actually helping you build another stream of income that you can utilize later on. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people just think of it as, oh, I'm just saving for retirement. Yeah, eventually you're going to have to stop working. And guess what? The money you saved is what you're going to be living off on. Guess what? That is a stream of income. So let's see what the average balance for someone that has a 401k in a different age group. And the reason why I'm going to be sharing the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I want to tie this into the average retirement age, and I'm going to share with you what that is later on after I share with you the average retirement saving balance. Okay, so I'm going to start in your 20s. In your 20s, the average is about 7,200. You're just starting off in your career in life. You're trying to figure. I mean, really, you're still trying to figure out who you are in your 20s. And then in your 30s, you're looking at the balance of $46,000. Now, as you move up, let's say now you're in your 50s, you're looking at $201,000 and $400. Now, let's say you get to your 60s. At this point, you're like, hey, I'm thinking about retiring now. 60 to 64, the average balance for a 401k is actually 247,900. Now, the average retirement age in the US is 64. Here's the thing. If you're retiring at age 60 to 64 at with $247,000 and $900 in your 401k account, and that's all you got, you're in trouble. You may think that's a lot of money, but you're actually in trouble. Here's the reason why. Because that $247,900 that you have in your 401k account, that money, it's what's going to be generating income for you to live off on. That's not the money you're going to be withdrawing from. That's your principal investment, let's say. That's your principal. That's how much money you have in there. You're not supposed to touch that. What you're supposed to do is live off the income that that balance generates for you. Not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of people think about that. And the reason why I'm telling you that that's not enough is I've been in that situation with clients. For those that don't know, I used to work for one of the second largest asset management company in the U.S., which was Vanguard. I was an investment advisor for them. Yes, licensed and registered. And yeah, those conversations sucked because you wanted to retire and you only have that amount in your account, and we're looking at your current lifestyle and we're looking at your current expenses, and we're saying, hey, it's not going to be able to generate that amount of money that you're going to need to sustain the lifestyle that you already have. You're going to have to cut down drastically. But not only that, a lot of individuals that retire with not a lot of in their 401k are actually relying on Social Security. Now, here's an interesting stat. Out of the percentage of individuals that retire at age 64, 59% of them are actually relying on Social Security as a major source of their retirement income. If you're relying on Social Security as a major source of your retirement income, that means that you're going to be in a position where you're living a lifestyle that may not be the full lifestyle that you actually want, and you have to bring down your lifestyle. And some people may not like that, but you're in a position where now any financial struggle that may occur, you may not have enough to be able to cover. You may still feel financial stress at an age and time when you don't want to feel financial stress. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, the conversations had with someone that had saved enough money where they're able to live off the income that investments generate for them, and the conversation I've had with the individual that didn't save enough money and had to face the prospect of, oh my gosh, I'm still going to consider working in order to be able to live. Those conversations are day and night. I mean, they're black and white. They're completely different. You can tell by the tone of their voice. You can tell by what their story is, what they're sharing with me, what they want to do, what they're planning on doing, what they're already doing. And then you have this other conversation where it's like, okay, I need to find another job, but oh gosh, I have to find a job that, it it doesn't have, it's not taxing because I don't have that kind of energy. And I may not be able to do full time anymore. I may want to do part time because I still want to enjoy the rest of my life. I just don't want to be working the rest of my life. And some people find themselves working the rest of their lives. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with that. We used to do that back in the day. Most people just work till they drop dead. 401ks, retirement, that's kind of new. It's still pretty modern. Not a lot of countries actually do this. Most people just die while working, and that's it. But if you're living in the US, the economic system that's in place will push you in a direction where they want you they want you to retire and stop working because they want to get younger folks into the workforce where they can pay them less. That is the truth. You and I both know that. So we have to put ourselves in a position where we're not forced to work just because we did not do what we needed to do when we were generating the income that we're generating in our younger years. So I want to move on and I want to share some numbers with you. And I went ahead and went on bank rate. Okay. Now, the stat that I showed you about the retirement balance, 401k balance was from Fidelity article from Fidelity. I can actually drop that in the description below. And also, I want to share with you the numbers that I ran using bank rate, this investment calculator. And I really just wanted to find out, well, how long do I have to invest? How much do I have to put away? How much do I need to generate in returns in order to be able to save up to $1 million? And this is what I came up with. Now, the numbers that I'm running here, you can actually do this yourself. It's a pretty fun calculator to use. I use this calculator to just figure out, okay, how much money do I need to put away if I have a particular investment goal that I want to work towards. I use this calculator. So I went ahead and said, okay, 30 years. I want to invest for 30 years. And the reason why I did 30 was because most people don't really start putting money away for retirement until they hit their 30s. Some people do it later, which is really, really bad. But majority of the time, I mean, you're like hitting your stride in your 30s, like, okay, I got my career set. I figured out what I'm going to do. I'm doing this for a long period of time and making good money doing it. Okay, fine. Some people start in their 20s and start putting money away in a 401k plan, and they're not putting a lot away, but they're still putting something away. So I said, okay, I want to start in my 30s and I want to invest for 30 years, so age 60, and I want to find out how much money I'm able to save. And if I contributed $1,000 each month and I started off with $1,000. So this is me starting off with zero. Okay. So when I'm doing this, I'm not even looking at my 401k. I'm just saying I open a brokerage account and I invested in a mutual fund, an index fund that's copying the S&P 500 with it, has an average annual return of 7%, and I just stuck with it for 30 years, contributing $1,000 each month, and I have a rate of inflation of 2.9%, and my tax rate is 15% tax rate. How much money would I end up with by age 30? So it came out to $1,347,554. Now, that's in 30 years. Imagine how much it would have been if I started in my 20s and I started putting $1,000 away. That's a lot of money. So you could retire earlier, right? And when we talk about retirement, I'm not talking about you retiring at an old age. That just happens to be what the average is. You can retire sooner. It's just based on the lifestyle that you want to live and how much money you have, how much wealth you have to be able to sustain the lifestyle that you want to have. That's really what it is. So the only way you're going to be able to achieve this is through compounding interest. And the only way to take advantage of compounding interest, which is a great tool to have that you don't have to work for, that it does it automatically for you. You just got to take the step of putting your money into the stock market. What it does for you is give you the opportunity to build wealth. It expedites it because you have the time horizon to do it, which is so important. You see, I'll share a story with you. When I was an investment advisor, I had clients that came up to me that were getting ready to retire, that didn't have enough money to retire, and they unintentionally, I always said no, but they didn't know what they were saying, but they thought I could invest in such a way that would generate income or make their account grow at a very, very fast rate. Now, that is a risky position to be in, just as an investment advisor. And that's a risky position for a client to put themselves in, because in order to generate higher returns, you're going to have to take a lot of risk. And if you only have that much and you're willing to put all of that at risk, and you go down to close to zero because you made an investment decision that was horribly wrong, that's a horrible thing. That's a horrible position to be in. So most of the times I'm like, no, I'm not. Not even most. All of the time I just said, no, that's not our philosophy. That's not what we're gonna do here. It's not gonna work out the way you think it's gonna work out. You're putting yourself in a lot of financial risk. You're it's it's really unnecessary. And on top of that, the real way to really build up your account over time is through time, and is through time in the market. And that window you've missed out on. Okay. So to avoid that, you gotta start early. So is it possible to save $1 million? Yeah, but you gotta start early. The math doesn't lie. The math does not lie. If you follow this principle, if you follow this formula, you will do it. But if you don't be surprised if you end up with just 250,000 in your account at the time of retirement. Don't be surprised, right? Because you did not follow the steps. Now, I know this sounds so easy, but yet how come the ones already at 60 didn't do it? How come the ones that have been around longer than I have weren't able to save that much? And mind you, the inflation back then wasn't as high as it is now. For some, of course, there was times where there was high inflations that people lived through. I forgot what time that period was, but I think it had like 14% inflation. But this is something that sounds easy, but it's hard for some people to do. And the reason why it's hard for some people to do is because some people live in paycheck to paycheck. Well, I looked at it and looked at some of the stats, and I want to share with you what a payroll org, um, when their research in 2024, um, what they found was that 77% of workers would experience financial difficulties if their paycheck were delayed a week. Bank of America, in the third quarter of 2024, their survey showed that 47% of customers said they live paycheck to paycheck. Now, it's going to be hard for you to save money if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Um, I came, like our family, we didn't have much. We lived paycheck to paycheck. And the financial strain, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. It's just sucked because it's like you don't have any room to do anything. And if anything goes wrong, you are finding yourself in a financial position, in financial hardship that you don't want to be in. So if you're the one that's living paycheck to paycheck, what can you do? Well, here are some of the things that I think you should look into. I'm not saying you have to do them, but look, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you know there's a way out of it, then do it. Put in the work to be able to do it. Okay, so one of the things, some good hot tea right there. So one of the things you can do, one, go over your expenses, look at all the unnecessary expenses that you have and cut them out. You gotta be disciplined in doing this. Another thing, an obvious thing, is either looking at the job that you have, the career that you have, and asking yourself, can I increase my income if I change my career to my job? And if so, put in a game plan to do so. Another thing you can do is, this is the part where the multiple streams of income may make sense. If you have time on your hands This is where the multiple streams of income makes a lot of sense to come in and find another job to bring in that extra stream of income so that you can have that wiggle room to be able to save. Because once you build up that wiggle room to be able to save, guess what? It gives you options. It gives you options to do a career change. It gives you options to look for a different job. Why? Because now you have the financial wiggle room to be able to sustain yourself in case if you need to while you're changing careers. Or you can change jobs and not worry if something goes wrong because you have the financial cushion. Those are some of the things you can do. But if you're not in this position where you're living paycheck to paycheck and you know you can save $1,000, save $500, save $750, however much money you can save, and you're not doing it because you're spending your money unnecessarily on materialistic things, you got to stop doing that. And the reason being, is because the money that you're making now, you may not be making that in a couple of years. So take advantage of the money you're making now. Now, if you're not making much in a couple of years, depending on what you do, you could be making a lot more. But we're all going to have the road that's going to lead us to the point where we're going to get old, because we all get old, and we're probably going to want to stop working. We're probably going to want to do some other things. But you're going to need money to be able to do that. So if you're making the good money and you know you can put money away, you should be opening up a brokerage account and you should be investing in the stock market. You should be buying either an index fund, mutual fund, whatever it may be, but putting your money in the stock market for it to grow for you, in order for you to be able to take advantage of the compounding growth, in order to be able to save money to get to $1 million or above. And it is doable based on the math that I just showed you. So here are some pointers for you to get started on that. Okay. Number one, set your financial goal. Now, this financial goal doesn't have to be like, oh, I want to save a certain dollar amount. Maybe for you, your financial goal is, hey, I need to build my financial system, my financial foundation. Okay, I need to set up an account, a savings account or a brokerage account to put my money in, if you don't already have that. Okay, I need to change my financial habits. So maybe one of my financial goals is to work on changing my financial habits. Another may be, you know what? I need to invest in the stock market. And in order for me to be able to do that, I need to put money away. In order for me to be able to do that, I need to go ahead and cut back on my expenses. And that's another thing you can do to help you and give you the chance of saving up to $1 million, cutting back unnecessary expenses. And this is tied to what I always talk about in my videos, is the lifestyle inflation. Just because your income increases doesn't mean your lifestyle and your expenses have to increase alongside with it. It doesn't. Just because your money increases doesn't mean you go out and buy a new luxury car to signal to everybody else, hey, look, I got a higher income. I can afford to buy this. Or luxury goods that you have that, guess what, sit in your closet, you go outside, you wear it. Maybe your friends comment on what you're wearing. Maybe they care. Most of the time, they probably don't. And on top of that, most of the time, the people that walk by you don't even notice. And if they do, they don't notice you. They notice the purse or the clothes or whatever that's on you. And it's like, oh, okay, you're wearing such and such. Okay. And you just keep on going, right? They're not staring there trying to get to know who you are. So don't do that. Another thing is, you gotta set up your automatic savings. And this is something that I did with all my clients. Oh, it was so easy. It was so easy because once I helped them set this up, they're just like, oh, that's it? That's all? I'm like, yeah, that's it. Like, once you set up an automatic savings plan, it makes it so much easier for you to save because you don't have to think about it. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of times what ends up happening is that we end up we end up going into the money that we're not supposed to go into because we just see it sitting there. We know it's supposed to be in savings, but then we end up touching it because we're like, oh, I could buy this thing. I just looked on Amazon and it's like, oh, okay, I can afford to buy it because I have the money sitting in my bank account. So you end up buying it. Now imagine if your income came in and the amount of money that came in was for your expenses, and then you had an automatic savings plan going into a brokerage account where money automatically went in there and it was invested. Guess what? Now that step of you going into your account and seeing the balance there in your account that's just sitting in your savings account because you didn't have a purpose for it. Now that's broken because now it's automatically invested, and now in order for you to get to it, you're gonna have to sell out of your position, which is like, oh, you want to do that? Are you sure? Well, why are you doing that? Oh, I want to buy this materialistic thing. You end up not doing it because it's like, oh, this is dumb. So set up an automatic investment savings account, and this is not the title. Don't get it confused if this is something new to you. The title automatic savings account is not actual savings account that's out there. Like you can set up a brokerage account, for example, with Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, or whatever brokerage account, whatever company, I don't care which. And it's easier to do this with mutual funds, but you can actually you can get a mutual fund, and they usually have the option to do an automatic investment plan in that mutual fund, where money automatically is put into the mutual fund, or you buy into the mutual fund automatically without you having to actually go in there and physically do it yourself. Um, Another thing, very key, is you got to be patient. This is a long-term game plan here. This is not a short-term game plan, and we are so conditioned for short-term momentary pleasure that it's so hard for us to look further down. I mean, 30 years seems like a lot of time, but think about it. You were once 20, now you're 30. 10 years just went by, and you're probably looking back saying, oh my gosh, like that. Like, whoa, I'm 30 now. Dang, I hit my 30s. I felt like that. And so imagine the next 30 years, you're going to be going by like that. And then next thing you know, boom, you're at that point where it's like, you know what? Yeah, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. What are you going to do then? Do you have the option to be able to change? Do you have the option to set yourself up to be able to have the option to be able to not work anymore? So, being patient is so key. And with patience come consistency. You got to be consistent in investing. You got to be consistent in putting money away. You just can't do it here and there and then stop. You got to have a system in place. That's why the automatic investing, that is a great system to put in place. Another thing you want to do is, of course, make sure your money is going into a 401k, IRA, index fund, mutual fund, whatever it may be, because these are the vehicles that allow you to be able to take advantage of the compounding growth. Just putting your money into a brokerage account and not actually buying into a mutual fund or buying into a stock or whatever, I wouldn't encourage you to buy into individual stocks, but that's something you could do if you want. You can buy into an ETF, an index fund, a mutual fund, whatever it may be. You need to do it because that's where the compounding growth comes into play. If you just put it into a brokerage account, it's just sitting in a money market fund, not really generating much than it would be if you had it actually invested. Okay. Building wealth with one stream of income is possible, but it's not easy. There's a couple of things you're going to need to do. You're going to have that discipline. You got to have that consistency. You got to have that vision to be able to see yourself 30 years down the road and seeing the lifestyle that you want for yourself, for your family, the financial freedom that you want, and you got to work towards it. Because there are outside forces working against you. There's the companies that want your money. There's nothing wrong with that. They provide goods, we buy them, but we choose to buy them. And there's you. You could be your greatest partner, your greatest ally, or you could be your greatest foe. And that's based on the decisions that you make that are going to affect your future. You can either choose to spend the money on luxury stuff, you can choose to spend the money on materialistic things, or you could choose to put the money away and build wealth. That's literally the definition of building wealth right there. Just putting money away. You're building wealth by doing that. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and subscribe. If not, come back and watch my other video. You'll probably subscribe then. Thank you, and I am out.